Hello, I am Roguelink, and this is Minit, normal mode, 110%. One thing I want to preface this run with is there's two basic inputs. There's attack or use my currently equipped item and reset. This run resets a lot, and it's basically a way to death warp on command. So we're going to be using that a lot to save time all over the place and just cut down almost all backtracking. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, let's go. So Minit is the story of this character and this sword. Unfortunately, it's a cursed sword, so we have 60 seconds to live, as you can see in the timer in the top left corner. Fortunately, we're able to progress and find all sorts of stuff, such as this watering can, despite only the 60-second time limit. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is kill 5 crabs. We're doing this fairly early for this route for a couple of reasons. It gets us the flashlight early, and that allows us to see in the dark rooms completely, as opposed to what certain routes do, which is save approximately 5 seconds by skipping the flashlight at this point. Now, I find this is a much better route from a viewer perspective, as well as being significantly more marathon safe. And heading over to the left here, now that we have said lighthouse key, and heading into the lighthouse to get the flashlight. And there we go. So now that we have the flashlight, we're going to head into our first of many caves. Damage boosting through the snakes. We're going to sneak into this hidden passageway. Heading around here. Without the flashlight, this would be completely dark. You wouldn't even see your character as reference. Grabbing the second coin of the run so far. And we're trying to get 7 coins as fast as possible, which is going to get us an item that allows us to run a little more quickly. Here we're trapping the bull into the corner here, getting about 5 hits in and getting our first heart upgrade. There's a few collectibles in this game, 3. There's hearts, coins, and tentacles. Hearts, as you might expect, increase the amount of damage that you can take. Tentacles, I'll explain later when we first find those, and coins allow you to get a few specific items. Next up, we're going to be using this watering can to get the first of many coins from the secret temple. This one's actually pretty tricky. We have to get all the way through this room without taking any damage, which can be kind of risky depending on how those bats spawn. Fortunately, that wasn't too bad. Again, resetting to head back to the trailer here. And next up, we're going to be heading deep into the desert to find a coin at a broken down truck. There's hints that the truck is out here, but fortunately for us, we're able to just hold up and to the right, straight from the stairs, in order to find exactly where we're going. Next up, we're going to head through this little hidden area, hopefully getting the double hit, and we got it! Excellent! So that doesn't happen every time. We're not 100% sure what causes it yet, but it is a little bit of a time save. Getting the dumpster coin as well, and then finally getting these shoes. So the running shoes is exactly what we were getting those 7 coins for. And now, once you see the little puffs of dust behind me, we're going to be running a little bit faster. Very quickly grabbing, saving that man, giving him a little bit of water. And here we're going to be tricking the game into thinking we traveled a very far distance by just going back and forth between 2 screens. Killing this ghost here to get the sword thrower. Now, the sword thrower is really useful because it allows you to throw your sword. More on that later. And here we're resetting in that room for a coin that we're going to find later in that temple. And you have to reset in at all 4 of the checkpoints. Next up, we're going to head in here to grab the gardening glove. The gardening glove's a very useful item. It allows us to cut down trees such as that stump, and more importantly, allows us to tear down this tree right here and allows us to get some boat wood. Boat wood has one very specific purpose. It allows us to repair boats. And fortunately for us, the person who we saved in the desert and gave water to is able to use the boat wood to repair boats. So we hand in the boat wood, reset in order to move on to the next cycle, and voila, we've got a boat. This is actually something in casual playthrough you always need the boots for, because you just need to save that little bit of time to get to the boat, because this is a pretty long trip. Next up, we're getting our first tentacle. There's 8 in total, and once we finally get all of them, we're going to be getting a very important item for the end of the game that allows us to dash faster, start dashing faster, as well as increases our attack speed. Here we're going to chip away at this tree right here to get the basement key. That's going to allow us access, surprise, surprise, to the basement. And speaking of the basement, the one thing we need to do, or we're trying to do right now, is turn on the teleporter inside the basement. There's 3 generators that power the teleporter, 2 outside and 1 inside, also in the basement. Just grabbing this switch right here. There we go. Now just heading up and to the right. Traveling with the submarine, no big deal. Going through this, fortunately, very simple teleporter maze, and grabbing the last generator to... Ooh, that was close. I almost reset early there. That would have been really bad. And then opening the teleporter, heading back home. Next up, we're going to use the sword thrower to kill these 2 enemies across the bridge, to lower the bridge, and allow us into this little hut over here to grab the camera. Now, the camera is actually different between consoles and PC. On consoles, you get the press badge. On PC, you get the camera, which are actually able to use to take screenshots. And they both have the same in-game mechanical purpose. They allow you to prove that you're pressed to a particular NPC, which unlocks a shortcut. Next up, we're dashing through here, getting our hotel checkpoint. Chatting with this guy right here, who you don't actually have access to until you have at least only 10 seconds left on the clock. And then heading behind the hotel to get a very well-hidden coin. That's actually one of the coins I forget fairly often. And this next little bit of time that we're trying to do is we're trying to find all of the hotel guests and bring them back to the hotel. Once we do that, the owner of the hotel will drop the ladder, which allows us to get the flippers, which are a very important item. There we go. So this man was looking for his wallet. Fortunately, we know exactly where it is. And while we're running by, we're just going to push this hidden block and get another heart. Next up, we need to talk to this guest right here, and usually they're jumping from tree to tree, but if we cut them down, they've got nowhere to run. Making it a little bit faster for us. Here we're heading through another one of the dark rooms. Fortunately, it's not dark for us at this point. Running. Hitting this specific switch in order to lower the bridge. Making sure to talk to that guest after we lower the bridge. And the final hotel guest is under that block. And now we can get these flippers. So now we finally get a little bit of a breather. We're going to grab this camera, head over the bridge, to prove that we're press. That NPC on the right there would usually be blocking that spot until we either show them the press badge or the camera, depending on if you're on console or not. And now we get a little bit of a break. We're just waiting for this plant to slowly get destroyed and reveal a coin for us. There we go. So, taking another reset. And we're going to do another long run. This is going to be our secret temple death for the hotel. So we're running through here, trying to optimize our dash, making sure to grab the tentacle and the water cooler on the way, destroying the generator, which is going to turn off the lasers here. There was one right here, in case you missed it. And we're going to unleash this drill, which opens up another shortcut for us and reveals a coin. Here, since we're going for the hotel checkpoint death, we want to make sure not to get the trailer checkpoint. And we're going to unlock the teleporter from this side, head back down into the room, accidentally missing the stairs for a second there, heading up, and in and reset. Next up is the truck coin, as I like to call it. This is one of the more precise runs in the game. You only have 3 seconds of wiggle room through this entire thing. So you have to be very careful. If you're trying to push those 2 blocks at the same time for as long as possible, you don't want to push them all the way against the wall, because then you're not able to push the upper block at all, or the bottom block for that matter. Pushing that block around, getting it into the gears, heading up and over. So we've turned off one conveyor belt, now we need to turn off this one. This one's fairly simple as well, just got to turn off all these switches. You just need to make sure not to block yourself with that particular NPC, because it's really easy to do if you're not paying attention. Oh, there we go, getting the coin. And next up, we're going to be getting the coin off of these bandits. You actually have to kill these bandits 3 times in order to get the coin. And we're going to kill all the bandits once here, reset, respawning the bandits, and kill them a second time. We want them to spawn next to each other as much as possible, allowing us to get as many kills as possible with a single sword swing. Each sword swing takes about a second. And here, instead of resetting, we're gonna head up and get this bone for honestly my favorite heart in this game. We're gonna head through, up through here, get into the teleporter, head back home, and give our dog a nice juicy bone for a heart. One of my favorites. Resetting for some slight movement optimization, and then getting our last kill. Ooh, that's really lucky. Killing 3 of them with 2 sword swings is huge. There we go. Next up is the trophy. This is another run, or at least the first half of this is another run that's very, very precise. Usually you have less than a second of wiggle room here. So you need to make sure that all of your movement is as optimal as possible. If your movement's really good, you can have 2 seconds of wiggle room. And what we're doing here is we're using those blocks again in order to access this secret block, which gives us the grinder. The grinder allows us to access this secret area, since we're now able to destroy blocks by just swinging our sword at them. Getting a coin here, and then heading over to this very secret area, into the pipe here. And this is the moment of truth. We should have plenty of time. There we go. Excellent. Next up is a little pipe maze. It's not too bad. Fortunately, you can just hold 2 directions at the same time, and you're pretty much constantly dashing through this maze. There we go. Next up is the tricky part. We're specifically looking for the trophy that doesn't sparkle, which is this one. And that reset takes us back to home. Now we're able to do a couple things here. We're able to grab coins and things that we couldn't get before, such as that one right there, because now we have the flippers. And we're also going to be collecting items, such as this plant heart, that are just more optimal to get with the running shoes. So next up, now that we have that plant heart, we're going to head over into the water. We actually have to follow a very specific movement path, or squares that we swim through while getting these next few items, a coin and a tentacle. If we don't follow the very specific path, then we have to deal with a shark, and sharks move very, very fast and hard to deal with. So we'd rather not, so to speak. And fortunately, we're able to reset immediately after hitting the tentacle. We don't have to wait for the fanfare or anything. Next, we're heading into these fairly hidden stairs up this way, killing these bats in order to open up a door for us. Fairly good positioning. There we go. And grabbing a coin that does require the flippers. Right here. And then grabbing a coin that doesn't require the flippers. Bingo. Now next up, this tentacle can be kind of tricky. There's a shark that we have to deal with in a very small room. And hopefully we just don't see it. Fantastic. So that was very good. Next up, we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're currently in the home checkpoint to grab the home checkpoint death with our new teleportation system. There we go. And next up, we're going to head to the island, making sure to grab the island checkpoint so that we reset here. Taking our last trip through the submarine, going to another exit through the teleport cave. Again, using our flippers to get another coin, or another tentacle, that is. Then heading back to the desert, trying to maintain that dash for as long as possible. And getting our final secret temple death. Very good. So next up, we're heading into the desert. This is going to be our final trip into this area. We're definitely going to need the checkpoint this time. We're going to get one of the final tentacles over here on the beach, making sure to swing your sword before you get into the water, because if you swing your sword afterwards, you're not going to get the tentacle, and you might even reset on accident. Grabbing the last coin here, now that we have all 4 of our checkpoint deaths. Heading up and over here to grab our final tentacle, which is fortunately for us right next to where we need to hand him in. And we get the Turbo Ink, which is very, very good item. First of all, it allows us to swing our sword faster. And since we can swing our sword faster, we're actually able to start dashing sooner as well. It usually takes about 5 seconds in order to just run to get your full dash. But with the Turbo Ink, if you hold a direction and swing your sword, you're actually able to start your dash in only about 2 seconds. So you're able to save a little bit of time on all of your dashes. Here we're going for a heart upgrade where we need to navigate through this area, dashing as much as possible. Fortunately, similar to the pipes, so long as you hold 2 directions at once, it's fairly easy to maintain your dash throughout. Next up, we're going to use all 19 coins to get the final heart, and then we're going to head over to the boss. So using all these shortcuts that we've cracked open, we're going to head through here and just throw our sword into this gear, making sure to get the explosion before we reset. Then we head up through here. And we've got to put out the fire, get our sword back, and get the Mega Sword, which we're going to use to absolutely demolish the final boss. Let's go. able to maintain our dash through all of that, which is nice. Here we go. Getting real lucky with our sword spawns here. Which one is it? Take the hit and reset. There we go. That gives us a little bit of extra time and will allow us to get through this boss a little faster. So I threw my sword a little early there, unfortunately. There we go. You want to destroy it as soon as it spawns. So if you time it right, it was a little late there. But we've got a fairly good cycle with this. There we go. That's exactly what we wanted. Now that we have the broken sword, all we need to do is escape. And we're heading up and out. Getting to the one exit, the toilet. And flushing the sword down the drain. And that's been Minit 110%.